everyone. Today I'm back with another video. Wanted to show you how I edit a picture from start to finish. So you're going to get to see my entire editing process with me. So this is my raw file. Um, and I always just want to make sure that my screen is 100% lit, as well as the colors are, I can't remember the word for it, but you want to make sure that your colors are configured to look like real life colors. Because if you edit color and your colors are not right in your computer and you transfer that picture to your phone, it's going to look like a completely different situation than what you did on your computer. Most MacBooks are, configured properly, but actually I would say most MacBook Pros are configured properly, but not every MacBook. So make sure that you research that if you're brand new and you don't know about that. Anyway, so long story short, the first thing that I do, right, when I'm in Lightroom is I work on my cropping. You always want to make sure that all the lines in your pictures match up, and then that your subject is cropped in a flattering way, and that they're the center of your photo. Now, as far as cropping goes, if you're brand new to photography, I recommend you use something called the 3/3 rule. And as you can see, this cropping gives us the option to be able to do that. So usually when you're doing a portrait, you either want someone, um, well, this is the thing. I can't explain it to you 100% because I'm not the one that made it up. But whoever did make it up, they did a really good job because when I followed that rule of guidance, my pictures usually turn out really well. So usually you want to make sure that if it's a wide angle picture, that your subject is like within one of these three triangles. I think that's how it goes. Anyway, long story short, the in this particular picture, my subject is the center of attention. So I want to bring him to the center. I want to make sure that he's in the center. So I'm going to crop this in a little bit on this side. I also want to bring this up a little bit more, right? And then if there were anything that I felt like I needed to straighten, I would use the lines in the background as my guide to straighten the picture. I don't feel like anything needs to be straightened here. But composition is really important in pictures. This picture, you can't really learn a lot about composition because I'm not doing too much. But like I said, go ahead and Google composition and the 3/3 rule. And if you're brand new to photography, that will change your life. Okay. All right. So, yeah, let's go ahead and enter that. All right. So, after I have worked on my cropping, aka composition, I'm going to go ahead and look through my little presets here on the side to see what preset I like the best for this particular image. So, right away, I'm liking this a lot. The one that says Adriana. These presets, the Chirosi presets, are available on my website, by the way, with the exception of this one called Tim, which it's still on my website, but it's not within this group, or it's not within this bunch. So if you purchase the Chirosi presets, it's going to be these 10 presets. You can purchase Tim separately. All right, anyway, so long story short, I go through my presets, keeping in mind that Adriana is my favorite one. I like this one a lot too. Um, mm, I like Gabby as well. I like that. So I liked Olivia. I liked Tim, but it's too dark. I liked Olivia, as well as Adriana, as well as Gabby. I think I'm really leaning towards Adriana here. Okay, yeah. So I like Adriana. What I'm just gonna do though, so this is the before, this is the after. Before, after. So I like to study both pictures next to each other. Like, oh, so how I'm doing this, by the way, is I'm creating the backslash. I'm tapping the backslash thing on my keyboard, and that allows me to see the before and the after. So I'm studying what the differences are, because when you're editing, you want to make sure that your differences are not too large, because if there's crazy differences in his skin tone, for example, or in the overall tone of the picture, then it's not going to look natural. So I want to make sure that whatever the edit is, that it still looks somewhat natural. And if it doesn't, I'm going to correct it a little bit. So in the after, his skin is a little bit more on the green side, which if you look to the right side over here, the tint is a little bit on the green side. So what I'm going to do to fix that is just bring the tint back a little bit to the pinkish side. And there you go. Now Michael's back to being not too green. That's his name, by the way. His name is Michael. After I've done that, I feel like I want to bring down the actually, let me put this up a little bit. I'm gonna put it on 26. Okay, cool. Let's see if I bring down the blacks, if I would like that a little bit more. Yeah, let's bring the blacks down just a little bit, just to give it a little contrast. You know what I mean? Just to give it a little tiny bit of contrast. Okay, and then let's see what we have before. This is after, before, after. Okay, and now I'm gonna want to bring down my saturation a little bit because I don't want them to look too saturated. So like right here should be fine. Before, after. Zoom in a little bit on his face. Before, after. Let's see if I tone down the clarity a little bit. If it will help his face with So what did we just do just now? It was here. Sometimes you want to go ahead and tone down the clarity a little bit because, as you can tell, the more clarity you have, the darker the lines become, and the eyes and stuff like that. So you always want to make sure you have control of that. Sometimes the clarity adds a lot of substance, and other times it just doesn't. So you always want to make sure you play around with that. So I like this a lot. The only thing I don't like is that his eyes have gone a little bit dark. So what I'm going to do while it's zoomed in like this to his eyes, I'm going to click this little brush tool over here. I'm going to make this brush tool a little bit bigger. I'm going to make sure that the shadows are up. And I'm going to go ahead and color this in. Here, that's not light enough though. Let's put this all the way to 100. Making sure I don't hit the iris, right? I'm going to go ahead and color in the blue part of his eye, or the light part of his eye. Making sure I don't hit the iris again, because if you do that, then, well, things are bound to look a little strange. I don't know what to tell you. Alright, so there we go. Same thing on this side. Making sure not to hit our iris. We're just going to go ahead and color in the blue part of his eye just to lighten it up a little bit, and to get rid of all the darkness that's taking place, so we can see his eyes just a smidge bit better. It's not going to make a huge difference because, you know, he's one of the guys that when he smiles, his eyes get a little bit chinky, kind of like me, which is cute, but I just wanted to, you know, give his eyes a little extra help in being able to be seen. Anyway, so after I've done all this, I'm pretty satisfied with what I've done in Lightroom. Before, after. Actually, I'm noticing that the greens are a little too desaturated in here, which usually looks nice on some pictures, but on this picture, I do want to highlight the fact that he is out in the green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here on the right side. I scroll down, right? I'm going to go on saturation, and I'm going to make sure that the greens are not too desaturated. And there you go, just like that, you can fix. So anything that you need to fix as far as coloring, you can always fix here. If you want your blues super saturated, if you want to take out the color in the blues, if you want to take out the color in the reds, stuff like that, you can always play around with right here. Anyway, so now that I've done all that, I'm going to go ahead and go click on develop, and I'm going to click new preset, because I'm going to want to use the same preset for the rest of his photos, so that whatever we have from this photo shoot matches everything else within the photo shoot. I don't want it to look like it's a completely different picture from a completely different photo shoot. Okay, so after I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and control click this picture, and I'm going to put edit in Adobe Photoshop 2021. Hello. Okay, so it should show up in Photoshop right about now. Okay, so now let's go ahead and click on over to Photoshop. The first thing we're gonna do, usually if it was like a woman, or if it was someone that was specific about, wanting certain things tucked in, or like certain roles taken away, I would go to filter, and I would go to liquify. And what this allows me to do is play around with people's body shapes and stuff, as you can see. I mean, you know what I mean? So I would play around with that if it was someone that had asked for that. But obviously he doesn't need that, so we're going to bypass that step today. But I just wanted to let you guys know that that is one of my steps. And then I do go ahead and head into editing a skin using the frequency separation method. And how I do that is I zoom in here so I can make sure of something. Okay, so I use the frequency separation method. How I do that is I create a folder down here, and then I click on the background, and while on the background I click Command J twice, and what that does is it creates 2 copies of the background. I'm gonna name the first one closest to the bottom. I'm gonna name that color, because that's gonna control the color of the within the picture. The second one I'm going to name texture, because this one's going to control the texture within the picture. Okay, so now I'm going to drag this color into group 1. I'm going to drag this texture into group 1. And, excuse me, now I'm going to take the opacity, or click on the little eye off of texture. I'm going to click back on color. I'm going to go to filter. I'm going to go to blur. I'm going to go to Gaussian blur. And I'm going to put this at 5.0. Alright, after I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. I'm going to click back on texture, and I'm going to go to image, apply image, and while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and put subtract. Make sure this is 2. Make sure this is 128. And I'm going to click OK. And then after I've done that, you do want to make sure that your picture ends up gray over here. After I do that, I'm going to go ahead and click, what's the name of it? Linear light. Oh, I did something wrong here. Oh no. Okay, let's go back on the steps, because it's supposed to, after you've done all that, your picture's supposed to look the same. So Chelsea's done something wrong. Let's go back to where we were at. Okay, now go back on texture. Go to image, apply image. I think this is supposed to be color, merged color. Okay, invert, or no. Subtract 2 1.28. Oh yeah, see, that's what I messed up. This layer is supposed to say color. Sorry, you guys. That's the part that I messed up. But we learn from mistakes around here, okay? So if that hadn't happened, you wouldn't have learned something. Okay, so look. Now let's click on linear light. Okay, now the picture looks like it's supposed to. So after you've done all the processes, the picture should look exactly how it looks, how it came in looking in the first place. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and click off of texture. I'm going to click on color, and I'm going to click on my mixer tool brush over here. This is usually this brush tool, but if you option click it a few times, you'll end up with the mixer brush tool. So you want to go ahead and make sure that your settings match my settings on the top here. I don't really know the method to the madness of why it has to be like that. All I know is that's how it was taught to me. So I can't explain it to you well, but just make sure that your settings match if you want to get the same results. That being said, right now I'm picking the perfect size for my brush to start on the arms. I'm settling in with, a brush that's not too big, but not too small. Because if you do too big, then it'll just cover the whole, a whole base of skin without giving special attention to any particular groups of skin. I don't know if that makes any sense, but just make sure it's never too big, and at the same time, for your own peace of mind, never too small. Because if it is small, it might do get the job done, but it's going to be very annoying and it's going to take a very long time. So you do want to make sure, like I said, not too big and not too small. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just blending in his skin without and I'm blending it in a way that I'm keeping true to the shape of his hand, to the shape of the shadows. I'm keeping the dark parts dark. I'm keeping the light parts light. So just think of it as if you're a woman, think of it as, when you are blending your makeup using a blending brush. That's what I'm doing. I'm making it look smooth, right? But still natural. I'm still making sure that the contour is there, still making sure that the highlight is there, but still blending it in that, you know what I mean? Like I said, it looks natural. If you're not a woman, you're a man, think of when you used to, color in school or whatever, and you used to blend in the colors with your paintbrush. Um, it's basically what I'm doing. So you want to go ahead and blend it in, like I said, while respecting the skin, its highlights and lowlights, and the skin surrounding itself. All right, so now we're moving on to the face. I am gonna go ahead and make my brush a little bit smaller because the face is smaller. We're working in smaller increments of space here, so I don't want to use a brush that's so big that, you know what I mean, it blends everything in and then he just looks like a blob. You do want to blend in things little by little so that everything still looks how it is and how it's supposed to. What this is, you get the hang of this over time. It's really just the process of blending is just a common sense thing, and if you don't get it immediately, you'll most certainly get it the longer that you do it, because after a while it just kind of becomes human nature, and it just becomes, like I said, it becomes second nature. So you always, as you guys can tell, I'm always going back and changing the size of my brush. That's really important because you don't want to go in with a brush what's got the same size brush on everything. You definitely want, for smaller areas, to use a smaller brush, and for larger areas to use a larger brush. Alright, so when I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and click back on the texture. And now, let's see what we have. This is the before, and this is the after. Before, after, talk about a difference. Before, after. Let me just fix his arm right here a little bit. It's bothering me. Let me put this up a little bit. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is what I have, right? Usually after I've done that, I'll go in and I'll get rid of any pimples by clicking on texture and clicking the healing tool brush. And then here I'll make my brush as big as the pimple, right? Or at least somewhere around the size of the pimple. So if I do like 24, that should be fine. So I'm going to sample a clear piece of skin close to the pimple. Option, click that piece of skin, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that pimple. Options, click a piece of skin that's clear, get rid of the pimple. Option, click, get rid of the pimple. And just like that, y'all, just like that, we're getting rid of pimples. The skin's clean, clear, it's under control, and everything looks great. Obviously, we're going to keep his, his maturity lines, because that's what represents the true beauty of the life that he's lived and the age that he's come to. Alright, so after I've done all that, I'm just going to do one more thing. I'm going to go to filter. Adios me. Okay, my bad. What am I doing wrong here? I think I shouldn't have made a group. Anyway, let me click on background. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go to filter. I'm going to click on, no, actually, my bad. I'm going to go to layer. I'm going to go to new adjustment layer. And I'm going to click on selective color. Sorry, you guys, when I'm editing, my mind just kind of goes blank sometimes. And I just start doing things that don't make any sense. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with the color of the blacks. Because, oops, I did something wrong again. Time to learn again. So apparently, once you've started frequency separation, you can't control things from the background layer. So that was my mistake. I needed to click on the color, right? For me to be able to control what happens in the color. Either that or I click on the group, right? And then I go to layer, I go to new adjustment layer, and I go to selective color. Okay, so now I can control what happens because I'm no longer on the background layer because now I'm inside of the group. Okay, cool. So what I like to do here is once I'm on blacks, I like to play around with it and see if I want to add, some more tones to my background. I think maybe I might do a -1 on the cyan. I might do... Yeah, I'm not feeling green too much on this today, am I? I might do -1 on the green. And then I might do yeah, I'm not going to do blue at all today. Usually I like to do, add a little blue to the picture, but I'm not feeling it right now. Anyway, another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to layer, I'm going to go to new adjustment layer, and I'm going to go to gradient map. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to use this one, or this one, or this one. Yeah, I like this one a lot. So I'm going to take my opacity down to 9% so I can see what this actually does for my picture. And I'm going to take it from normal to lighten, screen, color dodge, new dodge, lighter color. I like this lighter color. Okay, cool. Now let me see if I want to stick with this color or if I want to do a different color here. Let's try it with purple. Let's try it with this, try it with that, try it with this, try it with that. I like this a lot. Let me just bring this down because it's a little too much. Let's bring it down to maybe like 3%. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so this is what we have so far. Let me make a new group for the colors so you guys can see what the difference that it made when I added the... So that's another layer of color grading that I do outside of Lightroom. It's always slight though, but it definitely makes a difference. So look, this is what we have. Before, after, before, after. I feel like I might want to... Here, I think I'm going to put this on 2% because it's kind of a strong effect. Let me put this on 2%. It's not even letting me drag it to 2% because it's so... Okay. So let's see. Before, after. Tiny difference, but it just adds that extra, like, layer to the picture. And now for me, I'm all about layers. And... yeah, I think I'm pretty much done with this image. What do you guys think? This is my entire editing process from start to finish. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. I have so much that I would like to share with you guys that I've learned from editing, photography, etc., etc. And I hope you stick around to learn it with me or to watch it with me. Have a great day. Bye.